What's good? Thanks for pressing play on another Pay Me No Mind sports and entertainment video. I'm the host of the channel, Wood. And man, I was thinking, Sunday was a holiday, and I enjoyed myself with hanging out with my father-in-law, having a couple of beverages. And by the time I got around to watch the Sunday night lineup on Showtime, that being Billions episode 6, and then I believe what's that, episode 3 of The Shy, and then catching Game of Thrones. I guess by the time I just kind of overlooked how great of an episode, or how great of a setup episode that episode 6 is for Billions. So it's impossible to really keep this as brief as I would have liked to. Like I said, I had to watch it a second time to kind of. I was ready to say that it was a kind of a step down from two phenomenal episodes in a row, and I thought it was a major drop off to this one, right? To going into, or at the end of 6, I was like, that kind of dropped the ball a little bit. But actually, maximum recreational depth seems like it sets the table for the run up to the finale. I haven't checked to see if this season is 10 or 12 episodes. I'm going to assume that it's 10 based on some of the stuff that gets set up here in this episode, and then looking at the trailer for episode 7. But I'll say, every week I look for, I should have started this at the beginning of these recaps, but I think Dollar Bill had the slickest, what is that, a simile? He had the slickest simile, I guess, when he said something like John McCain in the calm or cool, like John McCain in the Hanoi Hilton. So I'll give this week's best. To me, it's a rap thing, a hip hop aspect of the writing on Billions. But yeah, it was something about John McCain in the Hanoi Hilton. But a lot of stuff went on here. It starts out with Wendy and Taylor meeting up, which we find out later in the episode that Hall, I believe that's what he's called, his name, asks his security guy. Of course, he finds out about it. And another deeper level there, we find out that Wendy is working Taylor and is doing this side mission, which we find out because it was a little trickery there because the way that they wrote it and the way that it plays out, it looks like Wendy really needs, really needs someone to understand where she's coming from. So they kind of tricked us right there, which was really slick. The writing again is just superb. Usually I give a synopsis, but I'm doing this on my phone, so I don't have that in front of me. But Connerty, next, Connerty seeks a warrant for Rhodes Sr. with Chuck as the co-conspirator. He goes and requests this from Judge DiGiulio, who, in my opinion, with Endgame coming out this week, he's like the knockoff or the poor man's. In some of his lines on the show, he's kind of the. He gives me a Tony Stark's vibe. I mean, he's like the poor man's Robert Downey Jr. But anyway, DiGiulio, of course, doesn't agree to do it because him and Rhodes have a relationship. And then him and DiGiulio, the judge, they meet at this candy store a couple times. Really quickly here, Taylor and their dad. I feel stupid, man, because I just don't know what the hell they're talking about, what this project is, but I did pick up on finally that there's some kind of next level or high level propulsion, something, an engine or something that is worth this 28 mil that Taylor invested in it. And I believe he told Taylor that another 14 directly from them could push this thing to where they don't need any they don't need any partners. So they actually moved forward with this project. They bid it out to some companies, and this has drawn the attention of Axe and his minions, as Axe really wants to destroy whatever this is. And I didn't realize that Wendy was so dead set on revenge against Taylor. I didn't, like I said, with this side mission that Wendy was running this episode, I really didn't know that she had it out for them in this manner. Maybe I missed something in season 3, and I didn't realize it was enough to go pull records out from her records out or files out from that were in storage, to go back and dig into Taylor's earlier meetings and their past to use that information against them. But Chuck requests to see the marriage between the marital situation between Chuck and Wendy is still on the skids. Chuck requests to see a dominatrix or a whatever that is. He wants to see a pro. He's sleeping in the guest room, and Wendy realizes that he has pushed a paper clip through his nipple, and that's how far gone he is with this punishment and this pain thing. So she agrees to it, and actually says do it at home. She'll take the kids out while he's having his session with this dom named Casey that comes over. Also in this episode, Wags is punked basically by, I don't know, Neffhauser or something is his name on here, but he used to be Levy on the Wire. They give him a fake invitation to this Wall Street fraternity called Kappa Beta Phi. And one of the references, like I said, there's a lot of movie references and stuff by the cast. They kind of mention the opening the books, that the fraternity is opening the books. And that's what Wags tells Axe, who is not a fan of this fraternity and has no interest in being a part of it. And then Axe told him, congratulates him on being made. And it has something to do with the newbies dressing, wearing dresses and wigs and heels and whatnot. So I can imagine why Axe, who's not a very conventional guy or doesn't seem to buy into, being made to feel uncomfortable in any way. Also here, the case versus Jock or Jeff Coat is starting to come together from being led by Chuck and his team. And some pretty, like I said, I thought this episode was a little weak when I watched this Sunday. That's how many drinks I probably had or beverages I consumed. I really didn't pick up on everything that was going on here. One dope thing here is that I don't know if his name is Jeffrey or Alvin from the Cosby Show, the brother, the actor who was and I remember this last year when this all went down. He was shamed for working, and I'm sorry I don't know his name. Like I said, I'm doing this on my phone. I don't have my computer in front of me, but he was working at Whole Foods or something last year, bagging groceries. When somebody put him on camera or made something, how it got into social media, the story went viral, and then he got a couple of offers for some roles and stuff. And I forgot that Billions was one of the places that he was going to have a role, and so he pops up as this banker in the Cayman Islands where Jock is doing something a little corrupt. The other issue that's going on here for Axe is that this Victor Mateo, who was a former employee of his and now has a fund of his own that Axe is heavily invested in or has a significant piece of, he learns through his attorney shows up finally. I was wondering where he was. But he digs into it and finds out that the deal that the terms that Taylor created when they set this up actually gives Axe some kind of co-ownership in the fund. And so the feds are looking into this Victor guy, and of course, Axe has to go. Has to be very diligent in insulating himself from this dude's situation. Who by the end of the show, he ends after Axe goes and does all the maneuvering to make sure he's safe. The guy ends up having to come back and work for Axe because Axe bought his company and this other company, which was what got on the radar of the I believe it was the SEC that was involved. So Axe and Rebecca, actually, the title of this episode comes from maximum. This maximum recreational depth comes from some reference to scuba diving, and where Rebecca says that even though they're intimate and they have this relationship and have been seeing each other for some time now, Axe is and they, like I said, they're sexually active, but he's not ready to discuss more important stuff with her, you know, uh, coming out of his marriage and going through the whole divorce process and having some trust issues and whatnot. So she leaves him when they were getting ready to have dinner after Chuck comes and says that the way that he was going to shield Axe from the Victor Mateo case, when that talk completely falls apart because Connerty gets involved with Mateo, it just messed up their dinner. Little bit of humor. There was a couple different serious lines in here that were funny to me, but Taylor's dad, Kevin Pollak, I don't know recall what his name is, but he has a line where he says, "That's what I tried to explain to Mafi when I think Taylor was hearing the full layout of whatever his design was and what's the specs on it and how better it is than anything that's it's state of the art basically." And they said something and credited him for how brilliant he is and what he's trying to do with this thing. And then he lets out this line in all seriousness, but it just was kind of a funny moment. But he said, "That's what I tried to explain to Mafi," after Taylor points out how smart he is. But then Taylor also reminds him that earlier in the thing, in the episode, Mafi said that told him that you're not going to be the smartest person in the room when Taylor is in the room. And of course, later on in the episode, Taylor has to confront their father and say that, you came to me with this so that we could bring it to the market or to actually bring it to fruition. But you're good with that technical stuff, but let me run the funding and everything that it takes to get it off of the ground. And then dad is more accepting of, what his role is and how, how phenomenal they are. So Axe and Laura, this was an episode of mini reunions. Axe and Laura meet up for a coffee. And one of the takeaways from this discussion is just everybody makes such power. All the characters make such powerful statements so commonly. And at the end of it, Laura takes the gloves off for a minute. Axe is apologetic about the way he's handled some different things. But now he wants to concede to allow her to take the kids and move to California. And how'd they get here? Briefly, they wonder, or Laura wonders, maybe we stood a chance if we didn't become so wealthy. And then Axe is like, that's not the way that I'm built. I was always going to have this type of money I was always going to have this type of wealth. We just grew apart, and protecting that wealth, drove a wedge between them and everything. And so while it looked like it was a moment of, burying the hatchet a little bit, then Laura realizes that this isn't going anywhere. We're going to move to California. And she makes some strong statement about free up $250 million, a quarter of the money or something that he's locked up. and says something, allow me to, and send over some writer to their divorce agreement or whatever, the terms of the divorce, where she can move, and she says wherever the F I want to. And then she storms out. So, again, throughout the show, everybody at different times just makes these very bold and strong closing or walk off. That's what it is, like drop the mic moments or walk off moments. Another slick reference in here that I really dug was not reference, but just a saying, I guess, or an idiom or something. But the Julio, they have this court. They go to court, Chuck against Connerty, and Connerty gets the best of Chuck, but he doesn't know that the fix was in. But DeJulio said Connerty was getting ready to go argue something further, further, and DeJulio says, "Don't pitch past the W. You know, I'm getting ready to find this in your favor. Just don't pitch past the W." I might have to adopt that one myself, being that I talk about sports and entertainment. So of course, like I said, a scene or two later, Connerty is visited by Jeffcoat or Jock, and Jock Remind is sitting at his desk with his feet up on his desk. He's getting ready to interview. Connerty was just getting ready to interview the dude from the Cayman Islands, and Sacker comes in and says, "Before you get into that, we got AG, Jeffcoat in here in your office. You need to go talk to him now." And they get to arguing and whatnot, and then they realize this is exactly what Chuck wanted them to do. So that's what I'm saying. The writing here, again, it is some slick parts in it, but it's just, Chuck is the one kind of making the chess moves in this particular episode. What else? And then there's the other reunion, and I think was that Jock's first appearance this season? Maybe not. But Wendy and Mafee have a reunion at some bar. And again, Wendy, probably unbeknownst to Mafee, is giving up too much information that then Wendy, not flagrant flirting or blatant flirting, but, she still uses her appeal or the attraction that Mafee has to him to at least extract what she needed to be extracted, so she could go back, and this gives her the idea of the companies that Taylor and her dad selected to enter into this strategic partnership with to get their project off of the ground. And like I said, here to bring this thing to a close, this is where I didn't know Wendy was this dug in, was when Axe actually says what the plan will be on how they're going to burn this thing down and destroy it, so that he can get the revenge or some of the revenge that he wants, being that he wants Taylor in a cell. Axe says we'll do it this way, and then Wendy is like, nah, we need to make this thing so bad, and we need to put things in motion in such a way that Taylor is the one that actually defunds the project or ends the project or burns it down themselves. And that'll be the best way to pay them back on the level that they want to, get revenge on them, is by revisiting this relationship with their father, which was severely damaged years ago. That's the information that Wendy got out of her file on Taylor, and by reopening that wound, that's going to be the perfect revenge, from what Taylor did last season in leaving them. So like I said, I thought this episode was pretty just average, just like I said, was what came down from the level that the two previous episodes were on. And like I said, man, it's one of the best written shows out there. And I said this on my last recap, the way that I was had some questions about the first episode, all of that kind of went away immediately with that. Some of the what I was thought was gonna be, they went to the well once too many on the setups and the fixes and all of that type stuff. But yeah, they've kind of outdone themselves, man. The only thing is, if we look ahead briefly, it looks like some things are going. Eventually, Chuck isn't gonna be Axe's step and fetch it or his gopher. Eventually you're gonna ask for too many favors, or I'm gonna have enough power to where you can no longer hold something over my head. And it looks like Connor T might figure out some things to fight back and prove that he's Chuck's equal, or the next few episodes are going to be pretty spicy. That's what it's looking like. Hey, let me get on off of here. I'm already 10 minutes longer than. But like I said, it was really a pretty deep episode. Way better than what I originally thought. So again, if you want to talk about this stuff, feel free to leave a comment. Any theories that you have, any characters that are standing out to you, any particular arcs that you're fascinated with, or think will be come to the forefront, in the last few episodes, holla at me. Until then, peace.